Assalamualaikum and have a nice day to Dr. Hafiza and to all my friends. So in this video, my group and I will be present about human embryonic and fetal development. So my group is consist of 4 members, which is Muhammad Shahin Naim bin Anas as a leader, Nurin Batrisha binti Azman, Nurani Sanani binti Razali, and also me, Alini Masra binti Zalini, which my matrix number is AS10402. So our presentation today will be divided into 4 parts, which is introduction and extraembryonic membranes, embryonic development, structure and function of placenta, and also fetal development and stage of birth. So I will present about intro and extraembryonic membrane, and embryonic development will be presented by Shahin Naim. Structure and function of placenta will be presented by Nur Aini Sanani, and the last one, fetal development and stages of birth, will be presented by Nurin Batisha. So the introduction. So human development is divided into two, which is embryonic development and also fetal development. The embryonic development is the period after implantation during which all major organs and structures such as heart and brain are formed. Once the embryo is fully formed in the embryonic development, it will be expand, grow, and continues to develop that we call as a fetal development. In the fetal development, structure becomes larger and are refined. So development. The development can be divided into three trimesters. Uh, Trimester is a period of 3 months, especially as a division of the duration of pregnancy. So one trimester is equal to 3 months. So we will go to the first trimester. The first trimester is about embryonic and early fetal development are occur. At about 10 to 14 days after, an egg is released, combines with a sperm and conception occur. A baby will develop rapidly during the first trimester. The fetus begins to develop a brain and spinal cord, and the organ begins to form. The baby's heart will also begin to beat during the first trimester. Will be next the second trimester. The second trimester is about development of organs and organ system. The baby's organs become fully developed during the second trimester. The baby can also start to hear, and small hairs become noticeable. Later on in the second trimester, the baby will begin to move around. It will be developed sleeping and waking cycles that a pregnant woman will begin to notice. By the end of the second trimester, the baby will be around 14 inches in length and weigh a little over 2 pounds. So the last one is third trimester. In a third trimester, fetus grows rapidly and the major organ system become functional. Your baby will open his or her eyes, gain more weight, and also it will prepare for delivery. So extra-embryonic membranes. Extra-embryonic membranes is a membrane that is not a part of the embryo, but is necessary to the continued existence and health of the embryo. So this is a part of extra-embryonic membrane that I will show in the figure, so we can see more clear, or we will see clearly. So this is extra-embryonic membrane. So this is a chorion. The chorion is the outer membrane that lies next to shell, includes the embryo in reptiles, birds, and mammals. The function of chorion is to contribute to development of the placenta in placenta mammal and carries on gas exchange. So the next one is the amnion. The amnion is a membrane that closely covers the embryo when first formed. It's filled with the protective amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid is we call as air ketuban in Malay. So amniotic fluid will cause the embryo to expand and become the amniotic sac, which serves to provide a protective environment for the developing embryo and fetus. The next one is allantois. The allantois is a hollow sac-like structure filled with clear fluid that forms part of the developing amniotic conceptus. It helps the embryo collect the nitrogenous waste and handle liquid waste. The allantois is give rise to the umbilical cord. And the last one is yolk sac. The yolk sac is a membranous sac attached to an embryo uh, formed by cells of the hypoblast adjacent to the embryonic disc. The yolk sac functions as a source of nourishment for the developing fetus. So that's all from me. Will be continued to Shahinain.
So, Assalamualaikum to everyone. My name is Muhammad Shahinain bin alias AS10359. So, I will present about the embryonic development. Embryonic development, we call it as the first 2 months of development. Alright. So, on the first week, the fertilization will occur in the upper third of the uterine tube, and then the cleavage begins 30 hours after the fertilization. Alright. So the embryo passes through the uterus, through the uterine tube here, and then it passes through the uterus, and then on the third day it becomes morula. But before it becomes the morula, it will undergo the single cell stage, which is the zygote, and then the 2 cell stage, and the 4 cell stage, and the 8 cell stage, and it becomes the morula. Okay, on the 5th day, the morula has transformed into blastula and then blastocyst, which is it has fluid-filled cavity. And then the trophoblast. The trophoblast is the single layer of outer cells that provide nourishment and for the embryo, and reinforced by a layer of mesoderm, which gives rise to the virion. Okay, as we can see in the figure here, the morula, and after that the blastocyst will form. Okay, so we move on to the second week, which is the implantation will occur at the wall of the uterus, and the trophoblast will secrete human chorionic gonadotrophin, which is, we call it as HCG. HCG will have several functions, which are, it is basis for the pregnancy test, and then the maintains for the corpus luteum, and the last one, endometrium, is maintained and menstruation does not occur. And also the trophoblast will secrete enzymes to digest away to digest away some of the tissue and blood vessels of the endometrium of the uterus. And then the inner cell mass detached from the trophoblast, and 2 more extra embryonic membranes will form, which is, we call it as amnion and also yolk sac. The amnion fills with amniotic fluid, which acts as insulator against the cold and heat, and also it absorbs shock when the mom undergo exercise. And also the yolk sac form below the embryonic disc. And then after that, the gastrulation occurs. Inner cell mass flatten into the embryonic disc, which is the 2-layer cells. We call it as ectoderm and also endoderm. And embryonic disc elongates to form the primitive strip here. Okay, and then the third germ layer, which is mesoderms, forms by invagination of cell along the strip. Okay, so then we move on to the third week. The third week is 2 important organ system will appear, which is the nervous system and the circulatory system. Okay, the nervous system is the first organ system to be visually evident, which is it will appear first, and then we can see that thickening appears along the entire dorsal, and also the neural faults appear meet at neural tube here, and also develops into brain and nerve cord. Okay, and then after the notochord is replaced by the vertebral column, the nerve cord is called as spinal cord. Okay, and then after the nervous system appeared, the development of the heart begins. Okay, the heart begins pumping blood even though the chambers of the heart are not fully formed, which is known as we have four chambers, but it not fully formed. But the heart begins to pump. Okay, the veins enter posteriorly, arteries exit anteriorly, but let the heart twist. But after that, the heart will twist, and all major blood vessels located anteriorly. Alright, and then the fourth and fifth week. Okay, so we known as just highlight the fourth the four things here, which is chorionic villi, allantois, umbilical cord, and limb buds. Okay, chorion means membrane, while villus means shaggy hair. Okay, and it has tree-like projection, and also it contains body stalk. Okay, body stalk is bridge of mesoderm that connects the end of embryo, which is we call it as caudal tail, with the chorion. Okay, it increases surface area for contact with maternal portion of the placenta. And the allantois contain within the stalk. Okay, allantois contain within the stalk, and its blood vessel become the umbilical blood vessel, and the umbilical cord form that connects the developing embryo with the placenta. And the last one is limb buds. That happen, the arms and leg develops, hands and feet appear, heads enlarge, and eyes, ears, and nose are developed. Alright, that's occurred in the fourth and fifth week. And I move on to the 6 through 8 weeks. And we know that the neck region develops. Okay, we can the neck will appear in the at the embryo, and also the head achieve its normal relationship with the body. So we can see that the head size is appear with the is become the normal size and attached with the body. And then the nervous system is well developed that can undergo reflex action. Okay, and the end of the period, so which is the end of the embryonic development, the first 2 months of the development, all organ system appear. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Structure and function of placenta. Do you know what is placenta? Placenta is a mammalian structure that functions in gas, nutrient, and waste exchange between the embryonic and later fetal and maternal cardiovascular systems. Placenta begins formation once the embryo is fully implanted. At first, the entire chorion has chorionic villi that projects into endometrium. Later, the chorion disappears in all areas except where the placenta develops. So in the previous slide, here, this is the chorion and the chorionic villi. This will disappear in all areas except where the placenta develops. Okay, you can see here, this is the placenta. So only at the placenta have the chorion and chorionic villi. Okay, here, this is the placenta. At placenta only have the chorionic villi. Other places, there are no chorionic villi. So by the 10th week, the placenta is fully formed and is producing progesterone and estrogen. These two hormones have two effects. Firstly is to prevent any new follicles from maturing because of negative feedback control of the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. Second is to maintain the lining of the uterus. So now the corpus luteum is not needed. No menstruation occurs during pregnancy. Placenta and umbilical cord. Placenta has a fetal side contributed by the chorion and a maternal side consisting of uterine tissue. Okay, here you can see this is the placenta. It has the fetal side and the maternal side. This is the bigger picture of it. Okay, this is the placenta. This is the fetal side and the maternal side. So here the chorionic villi is surrounded by the maternal blood. Yet the maternal blood and the fetal blood do not mix under normal conditions because exchange always takes place across plasma membrane. Umbilical cord. Umbilical cord is the lifeline of the fetus because it contains umbilical arteries and veins. which transport waste molecules to the placenta for disposal into the maternal blood and take oxygen and nutrient molecules from the placenta to the rest of the fetal secretory system. Okay, here you can see this is the umbilical cord. It contains the umbilical blood vessels, which is arteries and vein. Okay, so what will happen if the placenta is prematurely tears from the uterine wall? So the placenta supply the oxygen and nutrients to the fetus, right? So if the placenta is tears, it will block the baby's supply of oxygen and nutrients and can cause heavy bleeding in the mother. So the lives of the fetus and the mother are endangered if the placenta is tears. So late in fetal development and peaking just before birth, maternal antibodies are transported across the placenta into the fetus circulation. This helps ensure the newborn will be protected against common pathogens and other microbes to which the mother has been exposed until the newborn's immune system can mature and respond on its own. Okay, so Nurin will continue.
Next, I will continue the presentation with the second human development, which is fetal development. Fetal development occurs from the 3rd to 9th month of pregnancy, which marked by an extreme increase in size of the fetus. We will look through the fetal development in the next slide. So, fetal development is started when the fetus is 12 weeks, where placenta, fetal circulation, and organ system are all complete. And during this time too, the genitalia, which is sex organ of female or male, appear. So, it is possible to tell whether the fetus is male or female. During 16 weeks, sex is differentiated and heartbeat is present, so we can hear the heartbeat of the fetus by using stethoscope. During 20 weeks, lanugo, which is fine and downy hair, covers the entire body. But then, this lanugo will disappear during 36 weeks. And during 20 weeks, the fetal movements are felt by mother. Then, during 24 weeks, skin of the fetus appears wrinkled, and there is a waxy substance known as vernix caseosa that protects the fetus skin from becoming wrinkled from watery amniotic fluid. During 32 weeks, vigorous fetal movement occurs. For instance, the fetus starts to kicking. During 36 weeks, the amniotic fluid decreases, which will lead the skin to becoming smooth. So that's all for fetal development. Next, we move on to the stages of birth. The process of birth includes 3 stages. The first stage is dilatation of cervix, second stage is the delivery of the baby, and the third stage is the delivery of the placenta. First, we look at the first stage, the dilatation of cervix. This stage can be divided into 3 phases, which is latent phase, active phase, and transition phase. Latent phase is also known as early labor. During this phase, cervix dilates 1 to 4 centimeters and the contractions occurs every 5 to 30 minutes and lasts about 30 to 45 seconds, and the contractions are very mild. And sometimes the mother does not even know that she is in the latent phase because the mild contractions. And this phase lasts up to 20 hours, which is the longest phase. Next, we move on to the second phase, which is active phase. During this phase, cervix dilates 4 to 7 centimeters and the contractions occur every 3 to 5 minutes and last about 45 to 60 seconds, and the contractions are intense, which is it is a lot stronger and longer than the latent phase. This phase lasts 4 to 8 hours, and during this phase water may break, and the normal color of the water is clear or pinkish, and it is not normal if the water turns greenish or yellow fluid. And during this stage, the mother should empty their bladder. It is because a full bladder can prevent uterus from contracting properly, which can slow down labor. Finally, it is transition phase that will lead to stage 2 where the baby will be delivered. During this phase, cervix dilates 8 to 10 centimeters. Contractions occurs every 2 to 3 minutes, and it lasts about 60 to 90 seconds, and the contractions are very intense. This phase lasts about 30 minutes to 2 hours, and during this phase, the mother may start to feel an intense pressure in the rectum as the baby is pushing down and descending. However, during this phase, the mother must not push until the cervix is fully dilated, which is 10 centimeters. Because if the cervix does not fully dilated, the pushing will cause the cervix to become swollen. So that's all for the first stage. Now we move on to the second stage, which is delivery of the baby. This stage occurs from the time of the full dilatation cervix, which is 10 centimeters, until the baby is delivered. To make it through the road to the bony pelvis, the fetus makes several positional changes, which are called cardinal movements. There are 7 cardinal movements of fetus, which are descent, engagement, flexion, internal rotation, extension, restitution, and finally expulsion. So, first, initially there is descent, which is the downward movement of the fetus to the pelvis to the pelvic inlet. This is the scale -5 to +5 is the degree of descent, and it is called the fetal station. So firstly, the fetus move from the pelvic inlet, which about -5 station, down to the ischial spine, which is about 0 station. And this position is called engagement. This is engagement. Then there is flexion, where the fetal chin is pressed against its chest and its head meets resistance from the pelvic floor. Next, there is internal rotation, where the fetal shoulder internally rotates by 45 degrees. So the widest part of the shoulder are in line with the widest part of the pelvic inlet. After the fetal head passes under the symphysis pubis, there's extension, where the fetal head from axial spine, it will move about +5 station and emerge from the birth canal, where the baby is emerged from the vagina. But it is only the head that emerges. So, after the delivery of the head, there's restitution, where the head externally rotates and so that the shoulders can pass through the pelvic outlet and under the symphysis pubis. And finally, there's expulsion, where the anterior shoulder slips under the symphysis pubis, followed by the posterior shoulder, and finally followed by the rest of the body. Once the baby is delivered, the umbilical cord will be clamped and cut. So it marks that the second stage is end. And the last stage is placenta delivery. The third stage occurs after the delivery of the baby, and it involves the delivery of the placenta. So after the baby has been delivered, the uterus contracts firmly and the placenta begins to separate from the uterine wall. It's then carefully removed to ensure that there are no placenta left in the uterus. So in order to expel the placenta, there are two ways. First is active, where the doctor gives a drug via an injection into the mother's side to help the uterus contract down to speed up delivery of the placenta. And they gently pull on the cord of the placenta to help deliver it. This takes much shorter, which is about 5 to 10 minutes. And the second is physiological, where there is no drugs or pulling on the placenta. The placenta delivers naturally without any assistance, or maybe just with gentle pushing from the mother. And this takes up longer, which is 30 minutes. And for this stage, the placenta delivery, it should be quick because the longer it takes to deliver the placenta, it increases the risk of hemorrhage or any infection. So that's all from our group. Thank you.